The animals, trap, trap, trap till the cages fall. The cages fall, the day is new, and everyone is waiting, waiting on you, and you've got time. Think of all the roads, think of all the...
Hello, and welcome to a brand new episode of the podcast entitled Couch Potatoes Unite! Exclamation point. This is a podcast based on a blog of the same name because there just might be riots if we changed it now, unless you're all rioting because I'm still telling this joke. That's fine, you can say it. My name is Kylie and I love TV. If you feel the same, keep listening and or checking out the blog at couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com, as you're bound to find some common ground or something you like. For at Couch Potatoes Unite, we're all about the wonders and unique long-form storytelling of the small screen. CPU! Exclamation point. Hopes you've been following releases of brand new episodes of the podcast on Wednesdays, as well as new blog entries on some Tuesdays. And as always, we have several more new episodes on the way. Because the panelists and I live lives behind our podcast, the episodes are published once per week. Subscribe to the blog or the podcast via iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and via Google Play to stay on top of brand new episodes. Episodes already published discuss a variety of shows around the water cooler, including but not limited to How to Get Away with Murder, Gotham, Once Upon a Time, Supernatural, and Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Plus, new episodes are in the works, including revisits for The 100, Doctor Who, Sense8, Game of Thrones, Stranger Things, a final two-part episode with our Broadchurch panel to say goodbye to the mystery drama from across the pond. We'll be launching new panels covering Grace and Frankie and The Good Place, and because we look back at shows now past, we'll be looking back at one of the most popularly requested panels in the history of this podcast, Friends. What's more, CPU also goes live. We've been live from the Bunker, comedy outlet Mondays at Dog Story Theater and Grand Rapids Comic-Con, and we're planning more live appearances and other cool stuff. So make sure you like us at our Facebook page, our Twitter, follow us at CPU Podcast, our Instagram at Couch Potatoes Unite, and or our Pinterest at CPU Podcast, or subscribe to the blog, our YouTube channel, our iTunes channel, our Stitcher Radio channel, or find us on Google Play. In the meantime, if you don't hear your show in this podcast format, fellow panelists and I still write reviews, and we're always seeking new panelists. If you have any interest in joining the discussion, say hello by finding us at any of those outlets I've mentioned. At the very least, stop by and leave us a thumbs up, comment, or review. We like feedback. Just don't go starting a riot about it. It's not necessary. Today we're around the water cooler and discussing Season 5 of Orange is the New Black, which was released in its entirety to the Netflix streaming library on June 9th, 2017, with a total of 13 episodes, which means, again, for the record, that the show is legally available to Netflix subscribers exclusively, as it is Netflix-produced original content. As you might recall, Orange is the New Black is a comedy drama about a Manhattan woman whose past catches up to her and for which she must serve time in federal prison. The show is set in New York, though flashbacks for each of the prisoners who comprise the cast of characters sometimes venture away from New York. Taylor Schilling plays Piper Chapman, who was implicated in the bust of an international drug cartel of which former girlfriend Alex Foz, played by Laura Prepon, was a member, and who Piper aided and abetted in the throes of young love. Piper meets other inmates, including unabashed, self-proclaimed lesbian junkie Nikki Nichols, played by Natasha Lyon, and Red, played by Kate Mulgrew, and must deal with other common prison issues, including guards drunk on their own power, prison counselors playing favorites, a prison population divided by race, unofficially but automatically, overcrowding, substandard living conditions, and so on. For a more detailed plot summary, listen to that prior podcast episode, or all of our prior podcast episodes about Orange is the New Black, or check out our other OITNB entries on the blog. If you didn't already know, you can click the floating box at the top right of the header, the picture with the TV watcher, and search for any blog entry or prior podcast episode, which is always handy. For now, our illustrious group of Orange is the New Black panelists, namely Krista, Kristen, Nick, Amanda, and Andrew, have returned to discuss the new season and to speculate on what the next season might look like, as obviously Netflix has renewed this wildly successful program for a Season 6. Likely to be released in June 2018. And of course, before we get into the discussion, I'm going to take a moment to take the panel's temperature because after all, as we all know, sometimes a TV show can take turns for the better or the worse in our heads, or continue its level of awesomeness or lack thereof, depending upon its story evolution. As always, it should be noted that every single one of our panelists have viewed the entire show through the end of the 5th season and will likely discuss sensitive plot points. So, for those of you who are not caught up on Orange is the New Black, listen at your own risk, as there may be major spoilers. Welcome back, panel. How are you?
Good.
Hi.
Hello.
That was almost like on Seinfeld when the stomachs talk. Hello. So as I mentioned, everyone is back who was on the panel the last time, and we're going to do the temperature checking question with the famous and standard CPU character question that changes with each show we do. And it goes like this. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. What is your interest in Orange is the New Black after Season 5? Are you addicted, like Nikki? Do you love it despite all of its obvious flaws? You finally recognize that you might also have flaws, or that you may not be able to bury your sins watching this show, and while you may not be a perfect half of an imperfect couple, you are determined to commit to the show through the end, one way or another, like Piper or Alex. Are you watching it because you're determined to see the bad guys get their comeuppance, and maybe looking to deliver that comeuppance yourself, like Red or Blanca? Did you keep watching it because you wanted to see how the characters would react to the death of a character beloved by you, and or because you hoped the show would recognize a need for the system to be changed, even if the change had to come from the inside, like Tasty or So-So? Were you watching it for the romance, because it's equal opportunity, albeit misguided romance all around, like Big Boo? Were you watching it as a means to an end, or because your family watches it, like Dia, Gloria, or Maria? Were you watching it because your friends watch it, and friends make the insufferable tolerable? Also, friends remind you of who you are, like Janae and Black Cindy, Maritza and Flocka, Red's family, which includes Nora and Gia, etc., etc. Were you watching it but are embarrassed about doing so because it flies in the face of your sense of self, like Caputo or Yoga Jones? Are you disinterested but looking to cause trouble, like the white supremacy prisoners that I'm not going to name, they're all not nice, who cares, or Ouija? Or her friend, who I didn't find out the name of? Are you disinterested but feel like you've been trapped into watching it, like the prison guards, including Luchek? Were you only watching it because you had to, though you fortunately know how to survive whatever the show throws your way, like Frida? Were there some parts of it that you will never understand, no matter how hard you try, because you are self-aware of your mental health issues, and human nature will always be a mystery to you, like Suzanne, a.k.a. Crazy Eyes, or Morello? Did you only watch part of the season? You're trying to nurture your own career, like Sophia. You don't watch it anymore because, spoiler, you escaped from prison, like Pennsatucky. Or you don't watch it anymore because, spoiler, you mysteriously disappeared, like Sister, or you died, like Poussey. Who would like to start?
Nick.
Hi, Nick!
And I'm still addicted like Nikki.
All right. That's right. That's what you were last time.
Yeah.
Very nice. Did you want to justify your addiction? Or you're just addicted?
I thought it was really good. It was very entertaining, different from last season, but still in the same realm. And I really enjoyed the storyline, and I can't wait to find out what happens in the next season.
Fair enough. Welcome back, Nick.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Kristen.
Hi, Kristen.
Hi. So last time I was just So-So, I think, which is odd for me to only be one character, so I'm going to fix that.
Much to the chagrin and mockery of Nick.
Yep. So I'm still So-So because I really wanted to see how everybody was going to react to the death of Poussey at the end of the previous season. But I'm also going to throw in, I think Nick will actually approve of this, I'm going to throw in a little bit of Red because I'm determined to see the bad guys get their comeuppance.
Do you mean Piscatello or do you mean somebody else?
I don't think it's polite to name names.
I see. Sassy. Welcome back, Kristen.
Thank you.
I'm Amanda.
Hi, Amanda.
And I think I have a little bit of addiction like Nikki, but mostly because I really love the show. So I'd say maybe like Alex because I don't want to be like Piper. And because nobody should want to be like Piper. And also a little bit of Tasty in there. The fighting for those social justice issues really resonates with me. So I wanted to see what they were going to do after we lost my girl. So sad.
It is sad. Welcome back, Amanda.
Thanks.
I'm Andrew.
Hi, Andrew.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm again Nikki. Like last year, I am addicted. I will always be addicted to this show. But I'm going to say I'm also a little Sophia, and I'll just leave it at that.
Self-awareness is good. Welcome back, Andrew.
I'm Krista.
Hi, Krista.
This time, I think my gut instinct is to be Red and Luchek.
Oh.
What?
But,
You were trapped?
no.
That's what the Luchek one is.
Yeah. You're disinterested.
Well,
but
I
feel like
don't
you've
know
been
if you guys
trapped.
remember when I couldn't get through those first and you guys kept telling me to keep going.
So you were trapped?
No, he's not trapped. Maybe we'll go Red and Piper.
Okay.
Or Alex, because no one wants to be Piper.
Right.
It's already a theme of the podcast.
I mean, it's
Again.
a theme, all the things. That's it? That's all you want to say?
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome back, Krista. And of course, I'm Kylie. Last time I was Nikki, and so was higher up on the list. I'm still Nikki. I'm still addicted. I always want to see what's happening next. And even though I thought this season had a little softer ending to it, not quite as, well, there was some riveting to it, but there was also just kind of an abruptness to it. I still want to know what happens next. But I also would be Tasty and So here too, because really I thought their storylines were the most compelling out of all of the ones that were going on. So welcome back, everybody. This is a long-running panel. I mean, aside from joins and not joins kind of thing, but
This was one of the first ones.
it's one of the first ones, and you're still going. Thank you. Hearts, hearts, hearts. What I'd like to do now is ask you, what do you think of Season 5 overall compared to other seasons? What you like, what you didn't like? Launch into whatever part you want to start with. Because last time we kind of started from the end and worked backward. We can do the same. You can do whatever you want.
I ended up really liking it. I wasn't sure, even though I was very excited to be right, which I'm sure I told everyone that I was right because I thought it was going to be just over a couple of days. But yeah, I ended up really enjoying it. I liked how we got to delve into people's stories and really see what it was like hour by hour to some extent. So I liked it.
Yeah, I think if I recall back to our conversation as we were offline talking about this before we started recording, I think this is my favorite season so far. And that's kind of hard to say because I really miss Piette, and I really, really liked Sister, and I don't know where she was.
She disappeared.
She
from
just
solitary
disappeared
somehow.
somewhere.
They explained
They
it.
explained it.
Yeah.
She had pneumonia and was, what's the...
Compassionate release.
From prison?
Yeah.
Completely?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I missed that.
Either way, she's gone, and I miss her. But I really think Season 5 was very strong, and it was my favorite so far.
I really enjoyed this season. It's one of my favorites, too. I remember having issues with Season 2 being, like, too serious, and Season 3 being too comedic, and I feel like this walked the line pretty well. And they dealt with a lot of characters. You got to learn more about some characters that have always kind of been around. So I really enjoyed this one, and I can't wait for the next.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting to see how the power shifted over the course of not a lot of time. I thought they handled that very well, and it showed us how different characters would react in situations of being given a little bit of power. So I thought that was very interesting and compelling. I liked a lot of everybody had their own little side drama going on. Like, everyone had some very interesting storyline, and I thought that was nice that they were able to do that for all the characters, pretty much.
Yeah, I never felt like when we were dealing with one character, I'd rather be with the other one. I was always right on board with whichever story they
Same.
were telling.
Frida might have been my favorite part.
Yes.
I mean, just from it wasn't the most serious or anything like that, but it was such a breath of fresh air / delight. I thoroughly enjoyed all of that.
Yeah, her backstory I found was really compelling this season. Because we hadn't had it before.
No.
Anybody want to encapsulate or summarize her backstory?
The Cold War.
Yes.
Survivalist father.
Yes.
Mother not in the picture.
Yes.
I believe she passed away.
Yes.
And
Picture was funny.
so to prepare Frida.
She was a nature scout, too.
Yes, she was also a nature scout, and to fully prepare her daughter, or his daughter, for the time when the Russians take over, Frida's dad decided to really equip her with survivalist skills, including at the tender age of 10 or 11, dropping her off in the middle of the woods and leaving her there, disappearing in the middle of the night when they were on a camping trip, and having her find her way home.
But it sounded like that wasn't the first time he did that, because he said she was a little late. Like, it took longer than usual, is what?
Yeah, I think this
Or it
was
was
an
just late
exercise that they did somewhat
regularly.
yeah.
She seemed to enjoy it.
Well, and she didn't seem panicked.
Nope.
No.
So this had happened before. He had probably told her it was happening before and then said it could happen at any time.
Mm-hmm.
And he
And
left
get
her
yourself home.
what she needed to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And not in an obvious way. She had to kind of compile
Yeah, I would have
what
been
was
dead.
left behind.
I would have died.
Yeah.
She was so cool and so able to do things. And I loved that moment, and I loved the moment with her and the other little nature scout, is that what they were called? Where they were like making dolls, and she was like, "You would die," to the other little girls, and I was like, "Yes."
Do we see why? We know she murdered someone, but we didn't get that part of her backstory, have we?
No, we haven't.
We have not seen her crime.
No. But I really liked how they tied it into this season where we found out that Frida, she somehow found the former swimming pool that the prison used to have that they have since blocked off, cordoned off. And she was compiling supplies just in case if something like this were to happen. And I like how she became essentially the safe house for our near and dear favorites towards the end of the season.
We all got drunk and it was funny.
On PBR. Is that even possible?
Well, when you haven't had a lot to drink,
I guess so.
In years,
Yeah.
potentially.
Frida's backstory was cool. What are some other backstories
We didn't
Tasty.
get a lot this year of
Tasty.
backstories, though.
Casey met her mom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
met her biological mother?
That was horrible.
oh, that just ripped my heart out.
it was rough.
And again, just to summarize that, she meets Biomom. Biomom she reaches out to her the other way around, and Tasty thinks they're going to have a relationship, and she basically shuns her because she's got her own family now.
She either leads her on or had good intentions at first.
I
Yeah.
think there's a little bit of both going on.
Yeah, because
honestly.
Tasty was under the impression that she was going to go live with her mom in this new family, and she has a sibling or two now, and the mom just kind of says, no, I just wanted to meet you to see if you're okay, and I'm going to go back to my perfect little life now with my husband and kids who don't know that you even exist.
I have to say that Danielle Brooks, is that her name? Her performance throughout the season was
Spot on.
so amazing.
She didn't get nominated for an Emmy. I was very upset.
Was that for this season, or would that have been for the last season?
It would have been in this Emmy cycle because it came out in
In
June.
June.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, now I get really excited whenever I see her in anything else because I go, oh, I know it's going to be good.
Yeah.
They're all in Law and Order, and it's really exciting.
I'll take your word for that.
I love Law and Order. I know. I'm a dork.
Yeah, you believe her and you feel for her under so many circumstances, and you root for her even though it's like she tries to do right and she just is so close and then so far all at once in several circumstances that, there's the stuff with her mom and it seems so hopeful, and then there's all of the negotiations that she kicks butt, and then it all gets just ripped right out from under her, which stinks.
Yeah, I was really rooting for her during all the negotiations.
Because she had good points.
She
And you
did.
could see she did her research. She was smart. She knew the numbers. She had really everything lined up and it made sense.
And it wasn't unreasonable.
No.
It wasn't at all.
And she figured out, we want these things and here's how you cover it, which is such a good argument when you're dealing with money people. And then...
Well, I think what we learn about Tasty, or what is driven home, is that her passions, her emotions tend to overtake her logic at some point. It happens with Biomom. When Biomom disappoints her, she throws her on the hood of a car and pretty much is ready to beat her up until she walks away. And then in this, remember the turning point for the negotiations was she insisted on justice for Poussey. And it's possibly a justice that the prison company couldn't get for her, but she was so adamant that it had to happen within the realm of those negotiations that she blew all the other stuff that was given up until that point. Everything got yanked off the table.
And I think she forgot, and I feel like the season should have referenced, the riot was almost more of an extension of the peaceful protest where Poussey died. Like, it was all really more about Piscatella and the untrained guards and how poorly they were treated, and Poussey was a result of
living
it.
conditions and all of that stuff.
So, of course, all the prisoners, when they did their demands, Poussey was not up there. Was she above or below Cheetos? Flamin' Hot Cheetos.
Below, I
Oh,
believe.
yeah.
And Takis.
That was that was one of my favorite parts when Flaming Hot Cheetos, literally as the episode title. I knew I was gonna like it right away.
And they were flaming. by the end.
Literally, they were set on fire.
Chekhov's Cheeto.
And they sang the song that I love so much. I play it for my students and they think I'm nuts.
What song?
Hot Cheetos and Takis. Hot Cheetos and Takis. I can't get enough of them hot Cheetos and Takis. It's amazing. Look it up, people. It's these kids in this after-school program, and they wrote this whole rap about hot Cheetos and Takis, and they do it, and it's amazing. They all have like these distinct characteristics, and they referenced it so many times during this season, and it made me love them even more because those children deserve to be famous.
On the one hand, I completely and totally trust your assessment. On the other hand, I'm surprised it's coming from Amanda.
I didn't know that that was a real thing.
Oh my gosh, it's a real thing. It's amazing.
I just thought it was like, oh, this is fun. We're doing okay. I've never heard of Takis. This is cool.
I had not either until I heard the song, and it was years ago. And then Takis are they're shaped like a bugle. If you know, like the
bugles are
like the witch fingers.
Yeah.
Yes, I know what those are.
But then they have like a spicy, peppery flavor to them. So
like a rolled up
not
Dorito.
quite hot.
So they're
Cheetos.
spicy bugles.
Or tortilla chips.
Yes, like a spicy pepper.
Interesting.
They're very popular.
They're very popular with the young
I
people.
don't like bugles.
The young people really
These
like
taste
them.
different than
But they're like a
bugles.
corn chip. They're just shaped like a bugle.
Okay.
It's like feel free to
Edit this out.
No way!
They're spicy.
But like every time there was a hot Cheetos and Takis reference, I like just about lost it, and I like fell in love with the show even more. So maybe I'm more like Nikki than I thought I was because
Because you have the munchies?
they kept giving me those hits, you know, like that little taste of a thing I love, and it just made me love it even more. I don't know. Yeah, there was a moment where like I think it was Red was singing it.
Was Red singing?
Yes.
In one of her drugged.
Yes.
because she was on speed.
How did we feel about
I
Red?
loved. Oh,
And Blanca.
I loved them
loved
working
it.
together.
I mean, even though we knew right away that clearly they're on speed. It was Red not knowing, and she's so self-aware. Mm-hmm. That was especially fun.
Yeah.
I liked seeing more of Blanca, and I liked the way they played off each other.
Me too.
Because I kept thinking, Blanca's in season 1, and she's like,
Catatonic.
yeah, they don't talk to her. She's just separate. So it's crazy how she was like one of the main people. Wasn't she in the bunker with them?
Yes.
Yep. She got a makeover.
Yeah.
Was she hated, correct?
I think she didn't mind it.
I think she was just tired.
Yeah.
That's fair.
She was coming down. But Maritza and Flocka were doing makeovers for all of these.
Oh my goodness.
Because they had they got a hold of a cell phone and they got a hold of some YouTube-like product to launch their own prison show. And they were Floritza.
Because you need to have a celebrity relationship name when you launch a line together like that.
Yes.
I really
Loved
enjoyed
it.
them.
They're some of my favorite comedic relief in this series.
They're just so silly. And
the things that come out of their mouth.
well, and it's such an interesting counterpoint to all these very serious issues going on, and they're like teaching you how to like bronze yourself with spices. Mm-hmm. Like
how to contour with cumin.
There's something really charming about that, and I love that in the end they have like fans outside of the prison.
Quite a
waiting
lot.
for them.
They're the #1 prison TV show.
Yeah.
With
the
signs.
internet show.
There you go. Them
getting separated was.
Oh, don't rip my heart out this early.
That's the end of the season.
Oh.
Anything else? What other things did you like?
Well,
or not like?
The beginning, I think it's just in the first episode, they kept cutting to different people interacting as the riot, they're like getting away from the main part of the riot.
They're shooting.
And they're talking about the gun, and someone's like, so every time they cut to a different scene, it's just casual. Someone's doing a Virginia Tech in here, someone's doing a Sandy Hook, and it's just off the hand comment, and then by the 5th or 6th one, it was powerful and subtle that it's just commonplace.
So many.
Or simultaneously, you have African American girls trying to get on the internet and have Caputo read something to sort of, make up for his lack of statement about Poussey, and then it becomes a meme for Black Cindy, which is Black Lattes Matter. Which at first she's offended by, but then grows to love, so take that for what it is.
She thinks between that and her tabloid picture with Judy King, that will launch some sort of celebrity.
She's got a name.
Did anyone feel... I mean, I liked this season a lot. I kept... My attention was there, like, watching it fully through without needing any sort of breaks. But I felt it lost attention from season 4. And I feel like that's... And maybe, I don't know, is this... You said it was hard to get into it for you? Like, to me, I felt like the end of season 4 was so tense. And it was just, like, edge of your seat. And then I felt like...
going on.
I don't think it ever reached Poussey suffocating tension.
They can't.
Right.
And it definitely was... I think my least favorite moment was the talent show.
Yeah. Litchfield's Got
Yeah.
Talent.
I just
Sponsored
felt
by
like...
Angie, the meth head.
I also
Yeah.
I just liked how they were kind of torturing the prisoners.
Yeah.
That just
I
seemed
get a little bit at first, because they're not
You mean the
happy.
prison guards?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of was like, oh, come on, we were sinking to their level. That's not what we're supposed to be doing here, guys.
Well, but, you're asking
I know.
criminals to rise above, too. I mean, that's the thing is,
Right.
they're all in there for a reason. Like, they've all done something ethically not okay.
Which Big Boo was very plain about saying.
Yeah.
Right. Like, they are all criminals. And so they've been kept under thumb
That's true.
by these very people, and now they can turn the tables around for a little bit, and that taste of power...
And kept under thumb in a very capricious and favoritism-oriented and sometimes discriminatory manner.
Yes.
Yeah.
So...
But
But
that
to,
happens in prison, right? What's the
Cycle.
experiment? What was it?
Stanford experiment.
The Stanford experiment, yeah. And, they were in charge. They had control, and they ended up being, like, the COs.
But it wasn't all of them. Like, them on... Was it in the chapel when they were really...
Yeah.
That's when most of them, or at least the beginning of the group that was just going to stay outside and not be part of the riot.
Because Alex kind of led them.
yeah, Alex spoke up. But to answer your question about the tension, was it as tense as season 4? Probably not.
There were
Because
moments,
that built to a place.
There were moments with Red and the breaking Alex's arm. That was terrifying.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
so in the back half of the season, there is a point at which Piscatello gets back inside the prison.
It's a horror movie.
Yeah,
It's a
it
little bit of
makes
a
it a
horror
horror
movie.
movie.
And he basically is determined to single-handedly put the prison back in order.
Uh-huh.
And he starts with Red and her friends because it's personal between the two of them.
That was so upsetting.
Yeah, it's Red and her family.
It's Red and her family. And he starts
Piper
by
and Alex and Norma and everybody.
Gia, all of them. And first he breaks Alex's arm, and then he ends up scalping Red in front of all of the other girls. So,
Yeah,
was
that was
it as tense as 4? I think they're a different sort of tension.
I know, no, I get that.
It loses it for... It does...
It does start off a little
It
bit.
eases up.
I guess I
Yeah, there are
mean
points.
where it starts from where it left
Oh.
off, being that it
Yeah.
left off right where season 4 ended.
Right.
And I felt for being in real time, almost. I feel like it should have been more tense. And that wasn't there as
I
much.
don't know how they could have kept
Yeah,
it.
you
Because the
can't-
tension was, well, what is
Yeah.
Daya going to do?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name
Is
again?
she-
The rat guy?
Humps?
Humps.
There we are.
How could you forget Humps?
Humphreys.
'Cause
So
he
they
died.
resolved that. He
He
did,
did die
Yeah.
because she shot him and he had a stroke from the blood loss.
Well,
because the-
what's her face blew up air
Blue
bubbles.
air bubble.
Yeah.
The air bubble.
That's where
That's
that's how the
exactly-
stroke
Right.
came in.
Suzanne's whatever her name is.
It's just with an M.
With the girl with the mangled face. Like, I don't
The
know.
girl with the
Which I think was
it's
going to end up
Maureen,
dying.
actually.
Maureen!
Is
I
it
think it's
Maureen? Yeah, 'cause
Maureen.
it's Crazy Eyes' girlfriend.
Yeah.
Ex-girlfriend.
They're back together.
Yeah.
I
They were
really
holding
thought she
hands.
was going to die, though. Once, she even acknowledged that it must be infected. And
Oh, yeah. It did not look good for her. At all.
You're right. They did kind of peel away from that moment. But I think they were also trying to do a, what is this person doing while all of this is happening around this nucleus? But Krista had also expressed having a hard time getting into the season. It was slower in the first couple
found
of
it.
episodes.
I mean-
yeah.
I really enjoyed Caputo slowly finding that the riot was going on, because he was business as usual, packing up to go, and then when the few that came into his office, it's like, get back, like, he just did not, they'll calm down, not realizing that it was a full-blown riot that was already spreading.
But that's kind of his MO, right?
Yeah, I just enjoyed it.
He does the bare minimum most of the time.
I like Caputo. I know that's weird, but maybe it's just the actor, and I enjoyed his portrayal of the role.
He's trying. I do think the character is trying his best
to do something helpful.
And I don't think he has any control.
Well,
I thought he was going to get in more trouble this season. I mean, I suspected most of the season would be the riot, but I thought we would get more of the back end and see repercussions. We just are starting to see that. And really, the end moment almost felt like nothing happened. Like, a lot of the characters that I care about, you don't know what's going to happen
and
to
then,
them. Like, we didn't resolve the main conflict, even though technically the riot's over.
Because there was Maria and her daughter, correct? There was a moment.
Well, that
They
was sort of a
negotiated.
Maria versus Gloria situation, because they separately... Well, Gloria sort of made an deal with Caputo, although he was trapped in the porta potty at the time, that basically was, I need to get out, I need furlough, because her son had been beaten up to the point of being in intensive care. So she said, I need furlough. He's like, what do you want me to do about it? I'm trapped in here. You're not going to be able to change your situation unless you give up the hostages. Well, then Maria caught her on the phone talking about this very situation, and Maria tried to make a play for her own furlough to see her baby daughter and loyal boyfriend, loyal baby daddy, despite her mother's judgment.
Gloria told Maria that she had the guards.
Yeah.
And then Maria said, you don't owe anybody anything in here.
She said anybody in your situation would do the same thing.
And then
so
she did.
she totally sneaked it right out from under her.
She did. That's what Maria does.
Yep.
Because she did the panty sniffing business and then turned it into a heroin
But
sale.
I was glad that whoever from the state let her have a few minutes with her daughter, and didn't just drag her ass back to jail.
Yeah, it was nice that she got to see her kid, because that is one of the more heartbreaking things, is the idea that you would have a baby and you wouldn't be able to see it.
Well, that's the character who is the worst on the guards to have that backstabbing moment and still care that she gets to see her daughter.
Because ultimately they're in a really terrible situation.
Yes.
And people do things that they wouldn't normally do. So even though because ultimately I think she is motivated by her daughter and getting out and, making sure that her daughter is safe.
Yes. And when she realizes that her extra time didn't go through and that she might be able to avoid that, she changes her behavior. So it really speaks to that idea of desperation when people feel like they have no other option, how they might react in a more violent way than if they felt like they had a way out and a way to get through what they needed to. So because she felt like, I'm going to be here forever, I'm never going to see my kid anyway, then she doesn't care what she does. But when she thinks she has a chance, she changes her behavior. So,
What do we think about Daya this season?
I feel like they resolved...
they resolved hers pretty
Really
quickly.
I think it was like... it almost felt like a cop-out.
Which part?
That... I'm thinking through it live. But she...
Live on recording.
She kind of, once the gun is gone and everyone knows she doesn't have it, it just seems like, she doesn't have anything to do with the story anymore until she gives herself up, right? Does she eventually give herself in as part of the bargaining?
Well, yes, but it's prompted by the very near giving up of her by Tasty, because they find the corporation through Fig finds out that Humps died. And basically
It's murder now.
Yeah, the only way to save the negotiation is to turn over the person that basically caused that to happen, which was Daya through the shooting.
That's and then her mom found out.
But Humps is the reason it happened, because he brought the gun in.
That doesn't matter.
But
That's, we know that. The company doesn't know that. All the company knows is that there was a riot, a shooting, a guard who died, and a bunch of prisoners going crazy.
And truly, it's not, unfortunately, probably going to matter. She still killed him.
Manslaughtered him, technically.
Yes, but...
Well, yes, because nobody's going to know that the other prisoner blew an air bubble into his bloodstream.
Yeah.
Because that's probably what killed him. He might have survived. He wasn't getting taken care of.
Yeah, if it hadn't been for the air.
So I don't know what they're going to do with Daya in the next season.
And
Well, we at least know she confessed to Pornstash's mom about all the lies that Aleda had told a couple seasons ago.
And didn't she tell her to go find her daughter?
Yes.
Yes, she did.
And save her from the system. And she said she had to think about it while Pornstash was whining in the background.
Oh my gosh, he was such a little baby.
Yeah.
It's so weird, because when he's in the prison guard situation, you think, oh, he's in this position of power, and he is. He's just a man-child.
He's got mommy issues.
He does.
Oh my gosh.
For heaven's sakes, he's sitting there like, thank you, Mommy. What? You are a grown man. Stop. Gross. Gross.
What about Linda, the MCO person, who Piper and Alex convinced to act like a prisoner so that she won't be captured like the other guards? And her ensuing her backstory and her tryst with Big Boo.
Her backstory wasn't funny.
No.
But
It was funny.
it was funny.
Because she was in there for...
There was some dark comedy in
Yeah.
But, I mean, and also, what everyone was wearing and the whole premise, it was just so 90s teenage movie.
So do you want to set up the backstory?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. She was rushing a sorority, and it was final pledge week, and she had her big sister, and they had to go through this party and final initiations, and her big sister got super wasted and went to pee outside in the snow, and she left her there to freeze to death.
And that's what happened.
Yeah.
So I just have to say, Linda is the worst, to quote somebody else earlier this evening. I
She is the worst.
dislike her the whole time. I know I'm supposed to laugh at her, but I find her so obnoxious, it kind of makes me want to vomit.
Well, and she's sort of a counterpoint to Piper in that her privilege worked for her. Like, Piper's extreme upper class whiteness did not save her from going to prison, but, like, this woman, like, left somebody to die, basically.
And then lied to the police
and
about
lied
it.
about it. And because she's, little white woman, she gets away with it. Like, there's no investigation. There's no... They don't grill her or anything. She just goes, oh, I'm so sad. And then that's it. And so... like, it makes her so much worse than some of these other women that, like, maybe have justifiable emotional reasons why they did what they did. You're like, I almost feel worse for them even if they committed more direct crimes because they feel like they were more justified. She's just, like, cold. She's just ruthless. And so I love what they do to her in the end, where she tries to tell the people that have them all organized on the lawn, like, I work for the company. And then they're all like, yeah, me too. And she's like, what? Because it's going to take a hot second. Like, all the records got burnt. So, like, it's going to take them a little while to figure it out. And I hope that,
She'll get out, but...
Yes, we should mention that the meth head's last blaze of glory was to burn all the records.
Actual last blaze of glory.
Yeah.
Which I'm interested to find out how that affects the prisoners, unless it's all computerized, but I don't know if it is.
Well, are the prisoners even coming back to Litchfield? I mean, look at where the season ended.
But if they don't have records, how does the next place know what their time is, how much is left in their sentence?
I feel like there has to be something computerized, and that was, like, the internal stuff.
Yeah, like, that's the hard copy.
So it's going to take a while now. It's just going to be messy.
Yeah, because no one has their badges, or some people don't, so they're going to have to fingerprint, find them, match everybody up.
Because it takes place in modern times. There are computerized things, so...
Well, that is really...
I don't know, there's a lot
Who's
of
the
things
office
with
Who's
federal,
the office staff?
A lot of stuff with the
Caputo.
federal government stuff is
And
still
Tasty.
all just done on
Look at the
paper.
VA.
I remember watching something on Rachel Maddow, and I'm talking about, like, everything, like, with the, was it, I don't know what it was, but it was, they did not have computer anything.
The VA.
Was it the VA?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you just said.
I remember something even about, like, with, like, how you set off, like, a nuclear bomb. It's, like, all done, like, manual, like, I don't know.
That's
just,
so it
like,
doesn't
so
get
old
hacked.
school. And,
Which maybe makes me feel better in that context. For the prison record keeping, it might be good if there was a digital copy.
Yeah.
Then someone can Ferris Bueller their system. Never mind.
And that was the 80s, so I mean, if Ferris Bueller could do it then. I mean,
If only they could see the video of the looks we just gave him.
That is a podcast.
You missed it, people. You missed it.
It was really perfectly timed.
So, I found it... Now, correct me if I'm wrong. The meth heads got their drugs from Nikki and Morello, right? Or how did they get high again the second time? Or when the riot happened? Because they were out of their minds.
Didn't they find cleaning supplies? Weren't they
Yeah,
hopping
they
out
were
of a mop
sniffing
bucket?
some bleach.
Yeah.
Okay.
They did, I think they did procure some pills when Morello was running the pharmacy for a minute.
Which was kind of ironically perfect placement. I loved it.
In a
Yeah, she was all
really
control.
catastrophic way.
Yeah,
Because she
almost-
convinced Suzanne not to take
Almost
her,
killed
her
Suzanne.
meds prescription. And then Black Cindy, thinking, I just need something, gave her lithium.
Well, the whole thing.
And then gave her an EpiPen.
Well, they had to bring her out of it. She was going into shock.
Yeah.
You don't give lithium to somebody who's suffering from sort of a psychosis. Which
I like that it was Nikki and Morello running the pharmacy at first.
at 1st. Nikki had to go tend to Red, so then Morello was left all by herself.
Because Nikki was actually pretty decent at it. Like,
Yeah.
she knew whatever, I mean, she knows what all the drugs are, so she knew what people needed. She was pretty good about it, and so, you know, I would trust her. Right. Well, it really is, quite frankly. I mean, we saw with Suzanne what happened when you don't.
Yeah.
I felt so bad for her.
Yes.
You know, we have already explored some mental health issues in past seasons, but we definitely saw, you know, some of the, sort of that attitude of, well, can't you just get over it sort of attitude, and she really couldn't, which is sad. I felt so bad for her. Heartbreaking.
And plus struggling over the death of her friend, I think, is very compelling, because that kind of started her down the road a little bit. She couldn't really make sense of Poussey being gone, and she did the seance in the cafeteria. In the meantime, So-So is in a dark, dark depression from grief. They sort of bond over that. In the meantime, Tasty, who wants justice, thinks they're both out of their gourd because they should be mad rather than sad, and
It took them a while to come together, but I'm glad that Tasty and So-So finally did.
the library dedication to Poussey
Was amazing.
was beautiful.
That was some beautiful cinematography, too.
And it really gave her So-So like the first really pure good character moment, because she was kind of annoying when she first came on the scene. So I was very happy for that. Morello, since we were talking about her,
She's pregnant.
she's pregnant. Now, no one believed her at first, including her husband, but she's pregnant.
And they did it in a way where we've never... How was she pregnant?
They had sex after the wedding.
Yeah,
They did have that one.
Yeah.
You don't
connection.
remember? It was really awkward.
All I could remember is them pretending during visitation. You know how they would...
No.
That's all I could remember of them. I didn't remember their actual...
They definitely consummated it in front of
Was it
Healy.
Lots of
he?
people.
Yeah. Is it Healy?
Well, people in the visitation room could still see them because they were kind of not secluded.
Yeah.
I'm glad that she had to take like 11 pregnancy tests because she didn't believe herself either.
Yeah.
Well, and in the meantime, we have Nikki's sort of unrequited pangs for her. What do we think about that?
I think they did a good job with that story because it kind of, I don't know if it wrapped up, but it culminated in her helping by calling her Morello's husband and convincing him to give her another chance and not just assume she's crazy or love her even though she's crazy.
Love her even though she's crazy. That was definitely the argument. because she cares about everybody else. She just loves very deeply. So deeply she does crazy things.
And it shows Nikki's big heart because, you know, she would rather maybe they break up because then she would be available, and you know, in some ways it hurts her to have them be back together, but it's also what's right. Like, it's his baby, so they really probably should be together, and it's what's going to make her happy. So it's sweet in its own warped prison story way.
I really hope they end up in the same place if they go anywhere, because I just don't know what would happen to Morello otherwise. I'm just saying.
She needs at least one of them. Morello can't be by herself.
Well, right.
But does the prison care?
No.
No.
Well, I feel like a lot of them need
The other
people that know them. Like, they've settled in and they've learned to take care of each other, and you isolate them.
But Nikki was still in the pool, right?
Everybody
So
that...
Morello is going to be on her own at the beginning of next season.
Well, right. Nikki told Morello to go and put her hands up against the wall, but Nikki ran to go help Red again. That was the other piece of it.
Yeah.
So they're definitely going to be split out.
Yeah.
What about...
A lot of people are.
Yeah. We'll talk about that. I want to make sure I hit on something.
Now they're really curious to, what happens when they find them in the bunker.
I mean, that's the
That's
next
exact
moment.
Yes, that they
that's
stop
the
the
very
season.
moment on which we end.
Yeah, it's like
Prison guards
explosion,
are riot
sounds.
gear repelling.
The SWAT team after.
SWAT team.
They kill Piscatella.
Mm-hmm.
Did they kill him?
Oh, yeah. The one young guy that he was told
said
to
he's
shoot
dead.
the pepper gas pellets, shoot up. He shot him and it hit him right by the eye.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right in the head.
Like right in the head. He's dead.
And they
Yeah.
said
dead,
they
dead.
said he's dead. Yeah.
Oh.
He's dead. The kid's like, I tried to shoot over his head, but he's
You're
really
right.
tall.
I forgot that
He's
part.
dead.
Because
Yeah.
they didn't know if he was an inmate or anyone.
Well, that kid just freaked out, and he's obviously untrained.
He was untrained. I don't know if he freaked out. He was real excited to use his gun the whole time.
Well, yeah, I think he just...
I think he was supposed to be indicative of some other systemic problems that
Yes.
happen outside prisons.
And I think they were trying to end it so that we have some closure that he was the bad guy of the previous season, and this way none of the main characters have to get in trouble for his death.
And have to actually kill him. Because
He had to go. Because he's so
He
evil.
did go, and they did see him breaking Alex's arm.
Yeah.
And they had
on the
him
internet.
trapped in the bunker for a while.
They did, but
did.
Red let him go because
Yeah.
she forgave him in the end. And she told him, I have the power because I can forgive you.
I don't even know. I didn't even feel like it was really a forgiveness. It was like just enough. No more violence. We're done. I don't know that for me even implies forgiveness. It's just, I don't want any more of this. I just want everything to be calm.
But it was an awesome moment because
was.
Piscatella's whole backstory or his rage was fueled by, I don't want to say fueled by, but he believed they're criminals, they're less than, he's better than them, no matter what he's done or how bad it was, and that she was able to rise above him, the criminal.
Right.
But he wasn't that way until his lover was hate crimed on
Yeah.
in the other
Did
prison.
he die?
Yeah.
Isco?
Yes.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like they.
He died, and then he went back and he beat up on those the ones that.
That did it, and then that's when he
Burned
handcuffed
them in the
them into the shower and turned the water on as hot as it
I
would
just
go.
couldn't tell if he was beaten
That's
really badly or
yeah. That's when that's when he hardened because he was criminals can be reformed. It's not everybody's horrible, and then it's nope, everybody's
because they assumed or they really thought that Piscatella killed the guard, or that was what was in the record, wasn't it?
It was in the record that he killed an inmate.
Yeah, I think that inmate, the one that he scalded, ended up dying.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's what we're led to believe. Yeah.
But yet they still will let him work in the system because who else does or will?
Yeah.
So that's part of the commentary. What about Bailey, the young guard who did
rather not think
manslaughter?
about it.
per
Yeah.
se?
There's no solution. Like he is a victim of the situation, and he's the one directly responsible for Puset's death. And there's
It's
no
also not totally his fault.
right.
Yeah, and he wanted to make it right.
And he's probably heart-wise the best of the guards in there.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah, he didn't mean to do it. He didn't realize what he was doing, but he wasn't trained well enough to not do what he
What
did.
he was doing.
They gave him that moment in the season to walk away and leave the prison, and it was the equivalent of picking Puset the one to die. That they picked the guard that you wouldn't want that to happen to. I mean, he's because of his character or the makeup of his character, he's going to be punished his whole life, no matter what happens. Which I think is how they're going to leave it, because they had that moment with Puset's father.
In which he pretty much says exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
You're going to be living with this for the rest of your life.
There's no redemption for him.
And I feel like they were trying to go for comedy with his parents, or maybe they weren't. But just his dad's job, them not, I don't know, his failed suicide with drinking the non-toxic dye. I don't know. I couldn't tell if they were trying to go for some levity
Gallows.
with it, but it just didn't even want to think about that character.
I think they were a little because that character has always been kind of a bumbler in his innocent sort of kid way, and I think this was just an extension of that. But could you laugh at it? Like, I didn't laugh
I
at
didn't
it.
laugh at it.
No.
It was really hard to...
There's nothing funny about that.
Not at all. Because you sympathize with him, but at the same time, you know he did it. So
Well, the closest, and I think it was because Bailey almost made the punchline, was when the parent, I think the mom was like, I think you need help, and I think he said, you think? Like, finally you're seeing it? Mm-hmm. Not that we needed more from the parents, but I think they were just trying to ignore it to get through and hope he would get over it. But
well, in some ways, he was also set up as another privileged white youth, so you kind of got to see that lens through his parents. But that character was heartbreaking for me. I thought we should at least talk about it, because he's an extension of the very, very heartbreaking story from last season. What about Judy King?
I'm wondering if they're done with her.
Well, she got out.
I know, but I wonder if she's gonna do anything.
Yeah.
Like if it changed her heart at all,
Nope.
or if we're even gonna see that.
No, because she appeared on the TV show with Meredith Vieira and Aleda, Daya's mom, and kind of turned it into a little bit more exploitation for herself. She's just a fame whore who was suspected of being kidnapped by Muslim terrorists because the white supremacists had hoods over their head. I wanted to mention that irony. Deft touch. Orange is the new black. Thanks for that little piece. There were some other flashbacks that kind of ended up being one-offs, like Allison, who is the Muslim.
Yep.
She had her polygamy flashback. Janae had her flashback, which was her first
White
exposure
Effie.
to white Effie.
Oh, God.
Institutional racism, white privilege, and cultural appropriation.
We also get some more Red storyline. Which
Fun, a little.
I loved that one because
Yeah.
young Red clearly was willing to let loose a little bit. So that was fun.
Which paralleled her letting loose in the prison.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Even if it was unintentional.
And then there's also, though, her very pragmatic decision to leave the country with who she does. Like, it's her way out. So she's very idealistic and then learns that a lot of people are not as idealistic as she is. And I think that makes her hard the way she was, because she has the boyfriend who's selling the jeans, and then when it gets really rough, their friends disappear, and he's like, well, okay, maybe we'll just stop selling the jeans then. And she's like, well, you don't even care about the ideals. And he's like, well, but it's dangerous. And she, can't, that doesn't sit well with her, and she goes back to the guy that she had left.
Who ends up being her husband.
Yeah,
I believe was the
yeah.
implication.
Who becomes the husband, and because he actually then acted. But I think it's a very pragmatic decision she makes there. Like, okay, I made a passionate decision and it didn't work out, and now I'm going to be pragmatic. And I think that's the way she's treated her girls, her family, all the way through, is this very practical, let's take care of ourselves, let's do this thing. And you can see where that came from. But she still has that little bit of that fairness, that ideal hidden underneath her, and we got to see a little bit more of that this season.
I'm surprised you're not talking more about Red, Nick.
I don't think they did that much with their character, especially when the flashback didn't have Kate Mulgrew in it.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, man.
She had one of the crowning moments on the season, no pun intended. I said no pun intended!
That made
Doesn't
it
make it
worse.
not.
It made it
Way worse.
I would have just let it go.
Oh, that was probably the hardest thing for me to watch. Was Red getting tortured. That was the hardest thing for me to watch.
That whole sequence of events, from the minute Piscatella enters to the riot, the SWAT team.
Yeah.
I thought that was very tense.
It was.
Oh, it was so hard to watch.
And a very kind of, first you do get the horror movie, almost Saw-like horror movie going on, and then it switches to more of a kind of a war movie aspect, because there's all the military-esque pieces of it, and soldiers just acting like soldiers, quote unquote, and I don't know, I just thought it was very well staged and well directed at the end of the season. And it really does leave you wondering, at least when they come rappelling down into the pool room, where all of our main prisoners basically are, except for the couple that made it out to the yard or turned themselves in, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen to all these women?
I don't know, because it isn't just that the SWAT team's coming in. I can't remember the very last moment, but the SWAT team just killed Piscatella. Like, I have no idea where they're going to go with this.
And we've met the characters that are on that SWAT team. They are not nice guys.
No. They could possibly be worse than the guards.
Yeah.
And you've got the two buses that show up. And one's going one direction, the other's going the other direction. signified by Maritza and Flocka being separated.
Yeah, like I said, I'm
All their
addicted.
moms were there.
Leanne's Amish mother was there.
Mhm.
That was sweet.
Piper's mom.
Piper's mom was there.
Piper's mom.
Suzanne's mom.
We've hardly, I know you don't like her, but we've hardly talked about Piper and Alex.
I didn't mind her, but
She
it was
had
the least.
some self-awareness this season.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There was a
Yes.
line, a throwaway line, something about, nobody likes me. Well, I should be used to that. Or something like that. So at least the writers are acknowledging that their main character is basically well-hated.
And
She
she's
just
not a main.
unliked.
She wasn't a main character this season. It was pretty.
It was ensemble.
Yeah.
It's been ensemble for a while.
And
She
Piper was
the
kind of our
original.
gateway, but then it's been ensemble since.
Yeah.
A good portion of it was how Alex manages her obnoxiousness. You know what I mean? Like, we see a lot of that in terms of, why did you let her go do this thing? And it's like, well, it's what she wanted, so she needs to do it. Because she is going to be who she is. She wants to be a part of everything, and her mom even says that. Like, she just always finds herself in the middle of things. And, like, she can't resist.
Like I said, Piper didn't bother me. It felt like it was all part of the season, except the flashbacks with the tattoos didn't add to the season.
Those didn't resonate with me at all. I thought they were way too late in the season to make any kind of impact.
Yeah.
I don't even remember this.
Well,
The
Larry was
fish, and
there.
it's supposed to signify beauty.
And Larry gets the cable guy? Or
And
cable
Larry
guy?
gets-
Kool-Aid guy.
Kool-Aid guy. Well, Larry is the cable guy, but not that Larry.
I don't miss him still.
I don't miss him either.
No.
Sorry, Jason Biggs.
Yeah. I think they I don't know if they knew where they were going to go season 1. And as it picked up, we wanted more in the prison and those characters. So I don't think anybody really missed him.
Well, and honestly, I think Piper and Alex are more compelling than Piper and him. Just because they're so dysfunctionally functional together. And they're a work in progress, which they both finally acknowledged to each other this season. It should be mentioned that Piper proposed marriage. I mean, that was one of the things. So, I mean, these two are not going anywhere, obviously, and maybe she'll grow. Maybe she will be liked by the time this show is over.
And I think that was the flashback, was to show that even while she was with him, she was thinking about her.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, like, she got a tattoo mostly for Alex, and then he wants her to get one, and she doesn't. And that's the thing, is just to see how she was still connected
To Alex.
to Alex.
Potentially unpopular opinion. Laura Prepon drives me crazy.
Unpopular opinion.
Unpopular opinion.
Okay.
Who are we talking about?
Alex.
Oh.
Formerly Donna Pinciotti.
I
No,
prefer
I like her.
her character to Piper.
She directed some of the episodes this season.
She did.
Did she really?
She did. And Andrew McCarthy came back for a couple, too. For those of you in the know, he was a brat packer.
I do
Pretty
like-
pink.
He was the D-bag in Pretty in Pink.
Yeah.
Well, technically, the true D-bag was James Spader.
Yeah.
The white suit man.
Yes. But
White suit Sperry's.
he was the sensitive D-bag.
Shoot, I can barely get character names down. Don't even ask me for actor names.
But no, I like her. I mean, I think sometimes she hits Alex a little hard, but I don't necessarily think that's her as much as the directors.
Okay.
And she's also relating off of...
She was one of those directors.
Well, she was. Maybe. She's also relating off of Piper, though. So,
That's fair.
I mean, until she's paired with somebody else, I don't know if she's going to get a good shake on her portrayal of Alex.
I mean, if it wasn't for Piper, there'd be no reason to watch that character because she's just trying to stay out of things.
Pretty much. Speaking of characters we haven't mentioned who are conflicted, what about Pensatucky?
Well, yeah, I liked her storyline.
Like it was compelling, or you were happy how it worked out?
I didn't mind when those scenes were happening on the TV.
Wow.
I'm not...
Okay. That didn't answer the question at all, but good job, thanks.
I just hated that character so much, and she's grown and changed,
Okay,
but
yes,
still
that
feels
part
like
is
the
true.
same character.
Yeah,
She's
she was
still-
like my least favorite character in the beginning of the show. I just couldn't stand her.
Well, and she was
Me
one
too.
of the villains, which I think they're trying to have fewer villains because...
It just got too much.
Well, and when something seems like a villain, it's not a fleshed out character, in my opinion. Like,
Well, I think because right now the villains are extensions of the company. The real villain is the company.
Yeah.
Right.
So Piscatello is just an extension of the company. It's just another inept hiring of somebody who should not be hired.
Mm-hmm.
And he turns out to be a bad or really extremely enraged, traumatized man. But Pensatucky,
Oh, she and that guard, it's so weird.
that's the part
It
I
is
don't
weird. It is
understand.
weird.
It's so
'Cause now
yucky.
they're- I'm on
now
the
they're all
Boo side
playing
for
house.
this. Well, yeah, because she
Ugh.
escaped through the hole in the fence, which they never patched up.
That they meant to. That was funny.
Yeah, they meant to.
Wait, I thought that was the whole.
They cut a
from the
new
guards.
hole, right?
That was the whole that
Was it the new guy?
Yeah,
I think that-
it was the new hole.
Okay. Well,
Gloria
either
was
way, she
about
got
to do
out.
it, but Maria did it first to get the guards out.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
The
Gloria
time
got
she-
tackled before she got there.
But there's like the weird moment where she's like in the house and she has the gun and then she's like, oh, it's you. And he's like, can we put the gun down now? And then she's like, yeah, let's go watch some TV. Like, what?
There's a real
that
Stockholm
weird-
syndrome
yeah,
And
that
was
thing.
it
Yeah.
further away?
From the prison? Yeah.
But she wants to be with him, which is like super messed up. But also like something that happens.
Right.
Something that happens, and
Yeah.
it's almost the way it's portrayed is that it's almost reasonable that he didn't know what he was doing, but that doesn't make any sense. And then I go in a circle. I go in like this big because it does seem that they have a genuinely decent relationship, but then you remember that he did rape her.
Tried. Didn't he try
No,
to?
he did.
No, he
He did.
succeeded because
He
she
did.
cried.
It was
I
in the
remember
van.
now.
It was in the van, and
She
But-
tried to rape him. Her and Boo.
Boo was
Oh, right,
encouraging
with
her.
the
Together.
Scandal.
But
But
they
I also,
did.
I mean, but based on her flashbacks, she doesn't understand what rape is.
Because she was frequently, potentially raped herself.
Many, many, many times. And that was just how she was raised. So, to some extent, it would be like she wouldn't have said anything or said no because she didn't know that she even could. Which then is it his fault then, you know? And I'm not in any way excusing rape here. But it's just an interesting way of looking at it. Or maybe that's the question they're trying to get us to ask.
I think so. I think they want us to think about the complexity of it. Yeah, like he's just clearly not okay in his decision making, but then she's also not okay, and it's how these messed up people end up together. Yeah, for those of us who have not had that type of life experience, it's really, really hard to stomach and really hard to understand. It's just weird, and to be cuddled up at the end just feels very wrong.
Yeah.
To me,
It's so
just-
normal, though.
it was so
I mean,
hard,
it's
yeah.
so exactly what happens.
I know.
Is it's easier to stay in a situation that feels safe
Yeah.
and that feels normal than throw everything up and change everything.
Well, in some ways, Tucky's very childlike. I mean, there clearly was a development that stopped. And I don't
Her
think...
flashback was not
Well, she did a lot of drugs, potentially at a very young age, that prevented.
to block out what was happening to some extent, though.
Yes. So I think part of it is she really doesn't realize, like has been mentioned. But I also think Charlie, who was the name of the guard, I don't think he realizes. Because if you remember his reaction post-rape, he was almost shocked that that's what he was being accused of. Because I think in his mind, he actually feels something for her. As Amanda said, no one's making right choices here. And we see that, but do they see that? That's the question.
Well, and that's an argument that we see in the judicial system. It's an argument we see in society. Is it rape even if you care about the person?
Right.
Yes,
I would
our
say
loving
yes.
president has just announced. Did you know that husbands can't rape their wives? Did you know that, Amanda?
Well, that's a lot of belief system.
No, I mean, but the president said.
I know, but that's coming
Sorry.
from a religious background. There's a lot of people that believe that that's the wife's job, is to submit to that. So if you don't want to, you do it anyway. I mean, that's part of our culture.
Close your eyes and think of England.
And a lot of
Yeah.
really evangelical sectors of some religion, of some Christian evangelical religions, believe that, women don't have a sex drive at all, and men are
I was raised Catholic. I'm
overtly,
familiar with how this works.
have an overt sex drive, and so that's why, they can't control themselves. I'm thinking more in the evangelicals with 18 kids, and where the guys can't look at any girl
And
because it could mean that he might
and
just
women
rape
have to
her.
be covered to the wrist to the ankle just in case.
It just goes to the systemic patriarchy. I mean, I think that's essentially what Amanda was saying, and I think there's more to this story, obviously. This is something, she's escaped, they're going to have to find her, number one. Number two, they're in his house. He's not going to give her up. So it's going to be...
Well, and the best part is, they don't know she's missing because they've got a count and they've got an extra woman.
Yeah.
That's right.
Haha.
Because Linda's the worst. She is the worst.
Is it bad to hope that...
You want her to stay in prison?
Not her. No, not Linda. I mean, yes. I mean, that would be funny, but no. But that Tucky, like, at least gets some time to, like, breathe.
Out
I
of
mean,
prison.
yes. I mean, I know she killed a nurse, and she does deserve to be in prison for that. But if you add it all up, her whole life.
I think what this whole show is probably my takeaway is that people need to be treated like people. That's the overall theme. And they're not, and it's getting worse with how prisons are run in this country for profit. From the Linda, I think one way they can go with their story that I don't think would even seem realistic is that having been on the inside, she would try to affect change at the company. I don't think she would get that far, and I don't think she would have that change of heart anyway. But she had those little moments where, well, this isn't what the food was supposed to look like.
She was so angry because it wasn't the food she ordered, it was something cheaper.
But she's going to be treated like a prisoner for a while, so will her revelations sustain?
I mean, she might have to go to Max or something.
Truth.
Yeah.
What do we think might happen in season 6?
I don't know.
They're all going to get split up.
Is this the end of Litchfield?
No.
What does that do to our narrative, though? Like, are they gonna have us then be at 2 different prisons following our
I mean,
people?
we did that for Piper.
We did.
For one. Was it just one episode, though?
Couple episodes.
Yeah, where
Yeah.
she
That
was going
was
to testify.
awful.
She was
It
in
didn't
Chicago.
work.
I hated that part of that season.
I kind of liked
Yeah.
it. I just like seeing how much worse it could be. I mean, not liked, but you know what I'm saying. Or it was an interesting contrast to, like, it can get so much worse.
Why were they building another building if they had the whole gym and swimming pool area?
I'm not exactly sure they explained that. I just know that the swimming pool was at some point blocked off, and they thought it was a dead area. I mean,
I would've
Frida
been
got
fine
to
with
it
it
through
if-
a locker.
For
so-
all we know, it wasn't
But
even on the blueprints that...
But
Right,
Caputo
yeah.
knew about it.
He did know about it.
If he didn't know about it, I wouldn't have
But
thought.
Caputo doesn't tell them everything.
I know, but he was trying to do more for the prisoners. That whole
Yeah,
Well,
by them
a little-
building another building or another cell block, it's actually sometimes cheaper to build new than to renovate the old.
Yeah.
Okay.
The swimming pool wasn't set up for prisoners.
And they were using it as an extended storage area.
Anything else? Any other predictions you have? What were you going to
I
say?
was just gonna say, how many seasons did they sign on for?
If you
They're
go on,
renewed through 7.
Yep.
Through 7? Okay, for some reason I was thinking it was 6.
Nope.
So tomorrow, next
They
season
have
would
2
They have
more.
2
for
more.
sure.
Okay.
And I think they're going to be done after... I remember reading something that
They're
it
gonna
might
be
That's the
finished.
end of the
be
narrative.
done.
I think, well, even though I believe this season was only 3 days, my guess is they'll end with Piper getting released.
I think that's a safe bet at this point. She's got a couple months left on her sentence, but they have really slowed down the passage
So
of time.
if the next season is a month and then the one after that is 2 months, that's 3 more months. That's all she has. Unless she gets more time added to her sentence for this riot thing. Which they can't. I mean, that would just be so much paperwork. They wouldn't do that.
I don't know that. Well, and they'd have to do that theoretically for every
Everyone.
prisoner. So I don't think they would probably opt that route. I mean, this was a PR nightmare. We know that from where it was going within the season between the governor and the company and Fig being
The video getting
negotiator.
released.
The video getting released. So there's a lot of fallout that's going to come off of this whole situation.
This isn't a prediction, it's a hope. In fact, I probably think it won't happen, but I do want MCC to get some sort of repercussions. Like, if the show's going to be realistic, they'll be fine. Like, they won't get punished. No one will get punished.
I think
Or
they'll...
Caputo will get punished.
Yeah, I mean, all the prisoners
Caputo get
who
fired.
were on the buses, they're all going to have to come back to Litchfield eventually, because that's our home base. The Litchfield is a big part of the
And because
story.
other prisons are overcrowding as well, so
Yeah.
they're going to need to.
So if anything, it's a clear out. They could just be holding him on the bus, ready to bring him back in a few minutes. We don't know. It could be just to get them out of the area, to survey the scene, check for any other
I would
people,
assume
but-
they'd probably take a couple days to go and make sure everything's secure again.
Well, there
And
was
they'd
a
have to
fire,
get-
too.
And they need to
so-
fix a lot. They
A lot of repairs need to
destroyed
happen.
it, so
What if a bus crashes and all the prisoners get out?
That's not going to happen.
that's not this show. That's a different show.
Prison Break?
Prison Break Litchfield edition.
Any other predictions that you have for season 6, or questions, or places of maybe you're not quite satisfied after season 5?
I predict more crossover with Kimmy Schmidt.
That was wonderful.
That was alright. I
But
thought
where
that
is
was
she?
too shameless self-promotion.
I'll be very curious to see where it goes. We don't even know where they're going to pick up, so that's exciting a little bit.
Yeah, I'm pretty much there. I just want to know what happens. I don't know that I have any formulated
Yeah,
thoughts.
I don't know what I would be happy or not happy. Like
Exactly.
I don't know what they're gonna do.
I'd be happy if they skipped ahead just a tiny bit.
I know. I want to see what happens in the swimming
Immediately?
pool.
Okay.
I do. I feel like they've set it up in such a way. I would be very unsatisfied if they did skip ahead.
This
Wonder if they
just
told
came
us
in.
what happened.
I mean, they could do a whole.
Genji usually starts right with the last one.
Who is Genji?
The
The
creator.
creator, showrunner.
Okay.
She also created Weeds, which is where he is basing his authority.
And where every episode ended, it started like right there. It may have had a flash forward after finishing off. Where
Yeah,
the
then it
cliffhanger-
would bounce ahead.
Yeah.
But yeah, we need to figure out what happens in the swimming pool. They've left too many good people.
Because she hasn't really done that this show, except for the season coming into this season, because this is the only time it's picked up right where it left off. But I'm with Kristen. I think I would want it to pick up right where it left off.
And then maybe have a flash forward.
Possibly a
Depending
small,
on-
tiny one.
yeah.
But there's way too much. There's way too much that happened even in those final moments that I don't think they can let any of it go. I think they have to do just like they did when they walked into this season and say this is where everybody is at this moment, and then go from there.
I always kind of like, I don't know, when they flash forward and you learn little pieces over time of what happened. I always kind of enjoy puzzles, so
I'm good with that not happening in this show.
Are you going to keep watching?
yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That was unanimous. Would you recommend this show to others?
Yes. Always.
Absolutely.
I just did.
And on that note, I think we'll end here. I think we thoroughly covered it and did a nice job doing it. So with that said, I say this. CPU was produced by Back Pocket Productions, run by yours truly, the Chief Couch Potato, and hails from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Please, if you like what you hear, take the time to rate us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, or Google Play, or any podcast aggregator that offers ratings. Give us stars, give us a comment, give us a review. Tell us what we're doing that's good, or maybe not so good. We'll accept it. It's fine. If you have suggestions on shows we might consider, contact us at our website, couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com, via email at couchpotatoesunitepodcast@gmail.com, or via our social media, Facebook and Twitter, though we add new and old shows to chat about around the water cooler all the time. The request lines keep popping. As always, we have so many more new episodes coming down the pike. Make sure you subscribe to our blog, our channels, our social media. Stay up on new events and episodes. You can find old CPU episodes by searching for us via the web or directly at our website. Now, of course, Orange is the New Black is only available to stream at Netflix because it's a Netflix original, so that's where you have to find it. Everybody recommends you do, so do it! Until our next Orange podcast, which will be after Season 6 drops, so sometime in 2018, or until our next episode, which comes out every Wednesday, keep listening, keep watching, stay tuned.
Bye.